Thank you for checking out Coastal Community Church. We hope that you receive hope and encouragement through this week's message. If this ministry has impacted your life in any way, please share your story at mystory@coastalcommunity.tv. We hope you enjoy the service.
Well, good morning, Pompano Beach. How you guys doing this morning? Awesome. Hey, my name is TJ. I'm one of the pastors here. We're glad that you are with us this morning. I'm happy to be back. I just got back from Africa from almost 3 weeks being gone. My wife and I, who you just saw up here, have been gone for the last couple of weeks doing work there with Children's Cup and the church that we support. In fact, when we were there, we had our very first service in our brand new building there. And so thank you guys for your generosity. It was a packed house and service over there. And we also got to see, we started a second care point because we're feeding so many kids there that now they had to expand into another part of the community because kids were actually climbing over a mountain to get to our site where we're feeding every single day. And so instead of making them come to us, we decided we're going to go to them. And so we're up to over 450 kids that we're feeding every single day in Tbilisi, South Africa. And that is because of your generosity and what you guys are doing. And so I'm proud to be your pastor. And I'm excited to be back. I'm excited about this series on wisdom. We've been in this for the last couple of weeks. And the series has been all about how do we live really wise lives. And this series is on the book of Proverbs, and I believe the book of Proverbs has a ton to say about how we can live with wisdom in our lives rather than living dumb, ordinary, normal lives today. And so today we're going to be looking at a verse in Proverbs, but we're also going to be looking at Matthew chapter 12. If you kind of want to turn there, that's where we'll be hanging out. And how I want to kind of start off today is I know some things about you, and what I know is that what I'm going to talk about today for some of us is like a hand grenade for us in our lives. And for others of us, what I'm going to talk about is a lifesaver for us. And so it just depending on the person, this thing in your life is either causing a lot of great things to happen in your life, or it's been very, very detrimental in your life today. And so today what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the power of your words. And I think it's really, really interesting. I put this message together almost a month ago before I left, and I think it's so relevant. I think God's providential timing is unbelievable because I think it's relevant to what's going on in our world. Shayla and I came back on Friday to America in chaos, and we were like, man, what in the world has happened since we've been gone? We weren't looking at social media. We didn't want to hear about anything that was going on. We just wanted to be in a place where we weren't worrying about all those things. We were worrying about the needs of people right there, and we come back and our nation is a mess. And so I think today is going to be very, very relevant for our lives. And so I want to talk to you about 3 things that I know virtually about almost every single one of us in here today. And if you're taking notes, the first one is this, is that you use words. I know this is about every single one of us. We all use words, and some of you are like, oh my goodness, do I use words? Like, you are like a word overload person. Like, you use more than enough words for not only you, but 2 or 3 other people. In fact, you can't even control your words. You use words, and this is what I know is that all of us talk, and all of us use words. In fact, I did some research, and I came across a stat that's not new to me. Maybe it'll be new to you, but I'm going to guess you've probably heard it. And this is kind of just a generalization. But this is what they say. They say that the average man in America every single day speaks about 7,000 words. Some men speak a little bit more. Some men speak a little bit less. But the average guy speaks about 7,000 words. Now, on the flip side of that, they say the average woman, and listen, I'm just the messenger, so don't hate me. okay? The average woman speaks about 20,000 words a day. And so you can see that there's a little bit of a discrepancy in those numbers between the male and the female species. And so that might explain some relational difficulty in some of y'all's marriages right there. Like that might be the source of the problem, because here's what's going on. The guy has gone to work and he's used 6,950 of his words. And he gets home and his wife has only used 6,950 words. There's going to be some tension there. The rest of the night is going to be her talking a lot and him just nodding a lot, you know? And so there's like this discrepancy there. And like, man, God bless you ladies that speak less than 20,000 words. And we're going to pray for you that use more than 20,000 words. Actually, we're going to pray for your husband, for those of you that use more than 20,000 words. And this is what I know. I'm married to a woman that is a verbal processor. Any ladies like that? You got to verbally process what's going on in your life. And so I remember early on in our marriage, I was not used to this. I like to hold things in, think about it, contemplate it. And then maybe when I'm ready, if I haven't figured it out, I'll talk to somebody about it. But Shayla likes to verbally process everything. And so I remember one day she came home from work, and it was not a very good day for her at work. And so she needed to verbally process those things. And I had probably used my 7,000 words at that point. And so, or 6,996 of them, let's just say. And I remember she came home and she's telling me all this stuff. And I mean, she probably goes on for a good hour. And this is not the normal thing, but this was just happened to be that day. And she's just talking and talking and talking. We're sitting at our kitchen counter. And I remember she got to the end of it and she looked at me and she goes, "So what do you think?" And I remember looking at her, and because I only had 4 words left, I remember telling her, "Get over it. That's life." Actually, that's 5 words, but that's okay. I can't count. I wasn't a math major. And how many of y'all know that probably wasn't the best response? That was not a good use of my last couple of words for that day, because I didn't have to talk anymore that night. I was getting talking to. And I found another bedroom to sleep in. So, you know, it's... But I know this. We all use words. And sometimes we're not even aware of the words that we use. And our days are filled with words. Every moment is infected with our words. Every relationship is dyed with our words. Every circumstance is stuffed with words. And we have words and we use words, and we are words people. Now, the Bible has a ton to say about the words that we use, specifically the book of Proverbs, and there are so many verses on our words. It was hard to narrow it down to just one, but I thought I'd pick the most popular one to kind of build this off of today. And in Proverbs 18:21, it says this: "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Says the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. That's a powerful verse right there. In other words, in every single relationship, you're either breathing life into that relationship by your words, or you're breathing death into that relationship by the words that you use. And every day we are doing this. And I put it on your outline like this: words give life, words bring death. You choose. The words that we have, they bring life or they bring death. We get to choose. And that right there, my friends, is a powerful, powerful choice that we all have in each and every relationship in our life. And what that means is, and you've probably never realized this, but this is such an important thing for us to realize, is that in your lifetime, you have never spoken a neutral word. There is no word in your life that has ever been a meaningless, empty word. There is no word that just kind of floats out there that doesn't really go anywhere. It's either bringing life to a situation or it's bringing death to a situation. It's either bringing life to a relationship or it's bringing death to that relationship. So your words are either moving things forward in life or they're moving things back. And now if you're using your words to move things forward and bring life, you're speaking words of love, you're speaking words of encouragement, you're speaking words of joy and peace and instruction and wisdom and correction. Those are words that are moving things forward. On the flip side of that, if you're speaking words of death, you're speaking words that are full of anger and malice and jealousy and violence and slander and racism. Because our words, they either heal or they do damage. Whether we like it or not, there's two options when it comes to our words. They either heal or they damage. In fact, I put it on your outline. I put this heal damage thing with some dotted lines across there because I just wanted us to take a little self-assessment of the words that we use. And here's the thing. I know when I start reading scripture or I listen to a message like this, I have the propensity to listen to it or see this with the eyes for this is for somebody else. And so I'll read like a scripture and I'll be like, ooh, Shayla needs to hear this today. And I'll be like, I need to text her this scripture. This is going to, boom, hit her in the face. You know, it's going to be like, that's not a good thing, but it's awesome. Like, or I think, man, our staff really needs to hear this. They need to get this today. And so many times we look at things for other people, but this isn't for anybody else. This is not about them. This is about you. This is about your life. This is about your tongue. This is about your words. And so when you think about the majority of your relationships, do your words bring more healing or do your words do damage? It's for you to assess. And my prayer for us as a church community would be that we would never look at our words as something that don't matter, that are irrelevant, because our words do matter and our words count greatly in life. The second thing that I know about almost every single one of us is your deepest pain and your greatest joy have been accompanied by words. Whoever said talk is cheap is a freaking liar. Listen, talk is not cheap. It is powerful. It's painful. It can be life-changing. Words are powerful tools that can help, they can hinder, they can hurt, they can heal, but they are not cheap. Not by any means at all. In fact, I would say that words are quite expensive. They cost something, and every word you use has a price tag to it. That's why with words, wars have been started. That's why with words, murders have been initiated. That's why with words, divorces have been sealed. Children have suffered. Self-esteems have been demolished. Relationships have been broken. Churches have been split. Families have been splintered, all because of words. And I'm telling you, words are a powerful, powerful thing. And some of the saddest moments of my life and some of the most celebratory moments of my life have been accompanied with words. In fact, when I start thinking about some of the greatest moments of my life, they were the greatest moments of my life because of the words that were spoken to me in that moment. Some of the worst moments of my life were because of the words that I heard in that moment. In fact, almost every single Sunday that I get up to speak, which is about 45 Sundays a year that I get up to speak, man, there are all of these voices going through my head, mostly of the people that have spoken words of encouragement, that have built me up, that have believed in me in life, that are like this entourage of people or this stadium of people that are just cheering me on internally, that get me to get beyond the mountains in my life that are really just molehills, that I just got to overlook. And those words of encouragement do more to impact my life than anything else. And those are the things that I hold on to, and those are the things that have built me up, and I'm forever grateful for those people and the words that they have spoken into my life. Now, on the flip side of that, I've sat down with people that are 25, 35, 45, 65, 95 years old, and they will tell me unbelievably painful words that were spoken to them decades ago by their parents. And when they recount those words of yesteryear, they act like it happened yesterday. Why is that? Because there is a scary, painful, long-term shelf life to ugly, abusive, and hateful talk in our life. There is this shelf life that just seems to last. And I'm not telling you guys something that you don't know. Because some of you can remember the day at school that group of people started to pick on you and they called you fat, and that has defined the rest of your life. Some of you can remember the moment that your dad told you that you're stupid. Some of you remember it when your ex walked up to you and told you that I don't love you anymore. Some of you remember being in that class in front of everybody else when the teacher said, you are never going to amount to anything in life. And those words that were spoken to you, they have haunted you. They have stared you down in the face for the rest of your life. And you're wondering, like, why are these words not going away? Because there is a scary long-term shelf life to the words that are spoken to you. And what I know is that we all use words. You use a lot of words. I use a lot of words. And our greatest joys and our deepest pain have been accompanied by words. The third thing that I know about most of you is that your world of words is a world of trouble. Your world of words is a world of trouble. And I know that about some of you, not because I know you, but because I know me. And the thing that I know about me is that my world of words is a world of trouble. And here's how I can make sure that's true for all of us. Think about it. If we were to take a recording of every word that you spoke this last week, and we were just to take some time to play it in front of everybody else in here, how many of us would like that to happen? I would be completely embarrassed. Like, I came back from a mission trip and some vacation, and you would think, man, he had the best time. I would be embarrassed if you all heard some of the tones I took with Shayla over the past 7 days. Some of the things that I've said under my breath about people that annoyed me or were driving correctly when I was driving incorrectly in Africa. Because everything's opposite there. Like, I would be so embarrassed. Why? Because our words are powerful. We've all had moments where we said some words and as soon as they went out of our mouth, we're like, man, I wish I could snatch those back and take those back because we know the damage that it's done to other people. Like, and if you could snatch those back, you would. But you can't. Because once they're out there, they're either bringing life or they're bringing death. And I think that this is something that for us today is much more difficult than it was 20 years ago to understand and comprehend, because we have so much technology at our fingertips. I don't know how a better way to say that, because 20 years ago, like, email was just coming out. We didn't have text messaging. We didn't have Facebook. Like, we didn't have the opportunity to respond with any thought that we wanted at any point in time. And there's something about the internet that creates this level of anonymity where you feel the urge to say anything you want to anybody you want that you would never say to their face if you were in a conversation with them. Like, people feel really tough and powerful behind a computer screen. And the amount of hate and the amount of words that are coming out there with people today blows my mind. And honestly, I kind of hate social media right now because it's given everybody a voice, and idiots shouldn't have voices sometimes. Not everybody needs to know your opinion about everything, especially when you're not informed about all the information. In fact, let me just say this isn't even in my notes. I don't care. Okay, here is the reality. A lot of you feel like, man, but my heart says this is how I just need to respond because this is how I feel. Let me tell you something. Jeremiah tells us, above all else, the heart is deceptive. So if you are following your heart, you are going to be deceived in life. Shut that joker up. Instead of letting us know what you feel. Why don't you take some time and find out what God feels about it and then respond based on that? Yeah, that's a good place to clap right there. And I've learned this about myself. I learned this lesson a couple of years ago. When we launched this campus, we started, one of the first series we did here was a series called Grow a Pair. And I was so excited about this series. I was like, Grow a Pair. This is going to be freaking awesome. This, it's like this super guy-oriented series, if you haven't figured that out. And so we put this little bumper video on Facebook. And within a couple of hours, people were finding me on Facebook that I had no clue who they were. And they were just blasting me. They didn't know anything about the series. They just made some assumptions based on the provocativeness of the name about what it was and how, I was the worst pastor, Christian, Christ follower, if I was even a Christ follower, on the face of this earth. And it started to get to me a little bit. And in fact, I got so fed up one Friday afternoon that I decided I'm going to respond to every single one of these jokers on the internet. And so I started telling them what's up, because the whole premise of the series is you got to have some certain qualities in pairs. If you have strength without humility, you're going to get jacked up in life, because you'll just be walking around with strength and all this pride, and it's going to mess you up. So you got to have humility. But people never saw that part. They just made some assumptions, and you know what assume means, and we won't go into that. You can look it up on Google if you don't know. And so, man, I just started blasting people. I was like, yeah, and as I started blasting them, I started feeling really good about myself. Anybody ever experienced that? This holy indignation was I'm helping God right here. And I remember it got so bad with this one guy that he messaged me, and I lit that joker up. And I remember it was going on, and Shayla's like, "What are you doing over there?" I'm helping God, She's like, I don't think you are. Because I see what you're doing right there. Do you think that that's helpful? And I'm like, heck yeah, it is helping me. And then I realized, it really wasn't helping God, though. And in that moment, I learned some really, really powerful lessons. I ended up messaging all those people and apologizing to them, because I was the worst representation of Christ in that. It made me feel good that I said all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it hurt the cause more than it helped it, even though I felt justified. And I learned this lesson: the more sensitive the subject, the more time you need to take before you respond in it. And the more sensitive the conversation, the more face-to-face that needs to be. And so instead of just going out there and spewing all of your feelings and thoughts across social media, sending texts that are passive-aggressive, why don't we let God deal with our heart first and do some work so that he can deal with the real issue? Because a lot of us think it's our mouth. But Jesus actually explains this in Matthew chapter 12. He says, make a tree good and its fruit will be good. Or make a tree bad and its fruit will be bad. For a tree is recognized by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say good? For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and an evil man brings evil out of the evil stored up in him. You see what Jesus is saying here? What Jesus is saying here is he's saying, hey, listen, some of you guys, you think your problem is that you got a mouth problem. And while your mouth might be a problem, that's not the real issue. You don't have a mouth problem. The problem that you have is you have a heart problem. Because what Jesus is saying is he's saying, whatever is going on in your heart is going to come out of your mouth. It's like that game, Spill the Beans. Did any of you guys play that game as a kid where you had the tin cup and each person would put a bean in the cup, and eventually the cup would get so heavy that when somebody put that bean in, all the beans would come out. And that's what happens in our words. There's words that are coming in and there are words that are going out. And eventually, it's going to get so full in here, in our heart, that no matter what we're putting in, whether it's good or whether it's bad, that is going to spill out of your mouth. Anybody ever said something and been like, where the heck has that come from? You know where that came from? That came from your heart. And so Jesus is saying that, man, you can focus really, really hard on trying to control your mouth. You can focus really, really hard on having all this willpower to not say bad things. But he's saying, listen, if there is no heart transformation, there will never be any mouth transformation. If you don't start to transform the inside, it doesn't matter. You can try to control all the outside, but you can't control the outside. It does not work. And so God's goal is not that you just don't say mean things in life. That is not his goal for you. God's goal for you is not that you don't speak anymore, while that might be a good goal for some of you. Like, God's goal is not for that. In fact, I put this on your outline. God's goal for the human race is not just that we avoid sin, which is what so many of us think God's goal is man, if we could just all avoid sin. The problem with that was the same problem that the legalists and the Pharisees had. That never works. Listen, you could go out there and never say another word and avoid all the sin. And I don't think that would be God's goal for our life. His goal is that we would be exploding with love, that we would be exploding with joy, that we would be exploding with peace and grace. But if you never talk, there would never be any expressions of grace out there. If you never talked, there would never be any songs and melodies of love. If you never spoke, there would never be any words of hope given to people. And so God's goal is a lot greater than us not sinning in life. And I believe that as devastating as our words can be, they can be as equally powerful in our life. There is a flip side to that, and there is an element of power in our words. And God has shaped our souls in such a way that when we speak words, they go straight to our souls. In fact, I put it in your outline like this. God has designed the human soul where your words will either destroy or build up one another. It's how he's designed us. In fact, in Ephesians, Paul is writing this and he says, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. Like how many words would we have left if we got rid of the unwholesome talk in our lives? Out of that 7,000, that 20,000, we probably have a lot of words left. So what would we do with those? He says, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. There's a phrase there in that verse called according to their needs. And that is an important phrase for every relationship we have, because there is a presumption that is being made there. There's a presumption that in your marriages, in your friendships, in your relationships in life, that you're going to build other people up according to the needs that are in their life. It's presuming that you and I, that we are going to know the needs of the people around us in our lives. The only problem with that is that most of us don't know the needs of other people in our lives. And the reason why we don't know the needs of other people in our lives is because we're so busy talking that we forget to listen. We forget to hear. And so the expectation that Paul is setting here is that we would have this level of attentiveness in all of our relationships and this awareness to where we are listening to people so we can build them up according to what they need in life. That's why King Solomon said in Proverbs 15:4, the soothing tongue is a tree of life. Man, there's something life-giving about a soothing tongue. But a perverse tongue crushes the spirit. And we've all experienced a crushed spirit. We've all probably at some point crushed somebody's spirit. And we've all at some point had our spirit crushed by our words. Because our words have a way of beating people up. And everywhere you look, in our communities, in our friendships, in our families, in our relationships, you can see people who are beaten up by the words that have been spoken to them. And God has done this incredible thing. In spite of the fact that so many people are beat up by our words, He's given us this powerful thing with our words, that our words can actually heal those people. Because let me let you in on a little secret about your friends, your family, your spouse, your coworker, your boss, your neighbor. While they may look like they've got it all together on the outside, while the person sitting to your right and to your left may look like, man, they're swagged out, like they've got it going on. Everyone, and I mean everyone, needs healing in life. Every single one of us. I need healing. You need healing. Everyone needs healing. And you have no idea what the person next to you, at your cubicle, driving near you, at the checkout lane, may be going through in life. And the very thing that they need is the very thing that you got, which is some words of encouragement and hope that can bring healing to their world. And it is your words. They have that kind of power. Your words can help people figure out that they matter. Your words can give people purpose. Your words can help people discover that there is a God who loves them beyond their imagination. And so it kind of gets me to this place, and I've asked you this before, and I think it's very, very relevant today. 2 questions. Who has God put in your life? Second question is, what do they need to hear from you today? Who's God put in your life, and what do they need to hear from you today? Because this is what I know. There are some guys out here. When is the last time that you looked your wife or your girlfriend in the eyes and told her that she is beautiful and she is the apple of your eye, and there is no one else that you want in this world, with all sincerity? Some of y'all are like, well, but she already knows that. Well, but when's the last time you told her that? Ladies, when's the last time you grabbed your man's hand and turned to him and said, you know what, honey, I believe in you and I will stand with you? Parents, when's the last time you grabbed your daughter and you told her, man, that she is a princess and that she is worthy of the very best in life? Parents, when's the last time you told your sons that, man, they can do it? You've got their back. Some of you guys, you got kids that are out of the home. Listen, those kids that are out of the home, they still need your encouragement in these days. I'm telling you what, there is not a better day. I'm 37 years old, and there is not a better day than when my dad periodically shows up to church, and afterwards we go grab some lunch, and he goes, man, son, I'm so proud of you. Like, man, I'm flying on cloud 9 that day. For those of you that own businesses or lead organizations or lead teams, when's the last time you told your team that, man, they're so irreplaceable? And I know that some of you are at a disadvantage because you didn't grow up in a home that used words in that way. You didn't have that opportunity and you weren't surrounded by that. And honestly, I want to tell you that I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that you didn't have that experience. But your choice of comfort over your choice of words is a tragic choice. And listen, today you can break that cycle. You don't have to continue the same cycle that was started with you. You can break the cycle and use your words to bring life to other people. Because listen, we serve a God who only speaks life to you. He has some things to say to you. He wants to tell you, you know what? I love you today. You weren't an accident. You were brought here on purpose. I knew you in your mother's womb. I formed you and I made you. And I've got something great and incredible for your life. Don't give up. Don't give up. You're chosen. You're a royal priesthood. And more than anything, I love you with an everlasting love.
Thank you for checking out Coastal Community Church. We hope that you receive hope and encouragement through this week's message. If this ministry has impacted your life in any way, please share your story at mystory@coastalcommunity.tv. We hope you enjoy the service.